Hello, beautiful people. I am so grateful and excited to go on to episode 3 of the Conscious Hotline, your source for all things conscious and hot. Today, we're going to be talking about weaponizing spiritualism. What does that mean, you might be asking? Well, it's the intersectionality of things like cultural appropriation meets people who really, hi friends, people who are embracing spirituality and spiritual practices outside of their realm or culture, and then how they can sometimes use those to put down, belittle, or, negatively impact another. So I'm really excited to be joined today by my dear friend Liane, and she'll be speaking on that subject matter, of which she's extra qualified to do because she has a mirage of accomplishments and is so wildly talented in so many things, and kindly gifting some of her time to the Conscious Hotline today. So y'all are in for a treat. She'll be joining me any moment now, and it's going to be a juicy episode. So, there's so many things that I love about Liane, one of which is that she is a former humanitarian AIDS worker, or rights worker. So she worked for the UN, she traveled all over the country, she did all kinds of incredible work, and can really speak on this subject matter, which is really exciting and wonderful. She also is a space holder. She's a transcendental meditator. That's how I met her at the meditation center in Boulder that we both go to for Vedic meditation, which is an incredible place. If you're in Boulder or in Colorado, highly recommend. And she'll be joining us now shortly. So I'm really excited to dive deep into the subject matter. It's something that's really near and dear to both of our hearts because we are women who are passionate about this. Hello, beautiful goddess.
Hi.
Hi. I was just telling the good people all about your accomplishments and your accolades and how great and fantastic you are and how blessed we are to have you on the show today. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so the Conscious Hotline is all about, spreading consciousness and being hot while we do it, which you are, both of those things. So we always start off with kind of a question to let people know more about you. And today's question is, what is one fear that if you stepped into would totally change the game for you right now in your life?
Oh man, and this is so relevant to our topic. I have I have a very real fear of being gaslit, bypassed, told that my truth and my expertise is not real or not right or doesn't exist. Um, And so it's really hindered my ability to move forward in business because I've had so many practitioners and people in a position of authority gaslighting me and saying, oh, well, yeah, that's not really what inclusivity is. Or that's not what a trauma-informed lens is. Or that's your reality, that's not my reality. I respect, we're not, we're not creating separation here, we're creating unity consciousness. And I'm like,
Oh my God, you
yes,
conscious.
and
Don't even get me started.
and so part of my fear is A, being confronted with that more and more in a business setting, but B, doing that to other people. I don't want to damage my clients. I don't want to perpetuate that type of environment or dynamic that can be really traumatizing, that can be really derailing, that can perpetrate all of these really unhelpful, not constructive type of ways of interacting. And so it's two sides of the coin, yeah, but the fear in general just kind of traps me sometimes, where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't move forward with this.
Mm. And so what would life be like if you stepped into that fear? Which it seems like you
Yeah, life would be lighter.
yeah.
Life would be so much lighter.
Yeah.
And I would be speaking my truth, and I think life would be beautiful in ways that I can really validate a lot of people's experiences and kind of create things that safeguard so that this doesn't perpetrate further. So a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, did it freeze? Oh, it froze.
You're back. Yeah, it was a little choppy, but I heard you say life would be a lot lighter. Yeah, if you're on Wi-Fi, like
Yeah.
make sure you're on Wi-Fi. I should have said that. That'll help. But I love your answer. I think it's spot on. I know that I have that fear too, especially because it's like I want to be a part of this community. I want to be a part of the spiritual movement, but I also need my whole self to be honored, seen, and respected. So I would love for you to just
Yeah.
educate us on, what does weaponizing spiritualism look like to you?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I think that there's this intersection and there are a lot of pitfalls and there are a lot of opportunities. And what I've seen is that there are a lot of ancient spiritual practices that have been meshed with what I would call Western wellness. And so these ancient practices are designed for you to go inward, like deep, deep inward, and to really deconstruct and find like what is hindering you, and like what is your karma, and what is your programming, what are your parts, what are your shadows, all of these things, and deconstruct it so that you can integrate, heal, and live your greatest purpose. What I see as Western wellness is kind of like the flashy good feels, the sparkles and the unicorns and the really focusing on what your ultimate goal is and not giving attention to the struggle. And so what I find happening is you're walking into these spaces where people are offering ancient spiritualism, whether it is yoga or meditation or Reiki or Ayurveda or whatever it is. And they've meshed it with Western wellness. And so they're taking all of like the key takeaways and the like endpoint destinations, but they're not doing the work. And so they want to make it fun and bright and flashy, but it's not accessible to people. It's not accessible in that it's bypassing your trauma. So it's saying raise your vibration. Yes, raise your vibration, but in order to raise your vibration, you got to balance and get right everything that's pulling your vibration down. And that's not just a mindset, because that mindset is rooted in wounding, in trauma, in programming that needs to be deconstructed, that needs to be seen, that needs to be given a space, that needs to be healed, that needs to be integrated, so that as you're doing all these external activities to raise your vibration internally can be raised. It's like getting shot and they leave the bullet in. And they're like, you'll be fine. The bullet's not like pushing on any organs, so like you're good. But that bullet is like slowly seeping like the chemicals and the metals, and you feel funny, but you're not sure what it is. And so you go on working out and eating healthy and rah, 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 but this is slowly pulling and weighing you down. And that's what it is. That's how your wounding operates as well. It's a blocking and a lodge. And so you can raise your vibration, you can manifest, you can do all of that, but it's only going to take you so far until you get deeper, until you start digging up and unearthing what it is that's holding you back to begin with. And so that's my big qualm with the intersection, is it's taking the best of ancient spiritualism, but then discounting all of the like really heavy, kind of not comfortable, painful work that needs to be done so that you can get to the goodness. It's like
it's the foundation, like that ickiness, like the lotus fish out of the mud. Like you have to, my friend Rachel that's watching, she sent me this meme that it's like what people think spiritual ascension is. And it's like, oh, yogi on the top of a mountain. And then it's like what spiritual ascension actually is. And it's like someone sweating in their bed, rocking back and forth, being like, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. It's like literally like you have to like, one of my favorite poems says, I want to know if you can bear the accusation of betrayal without betraying your own soul.
And
like, that's what it's about.
There's a quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but it says something to the effect of, do not become a monster in the process of fighting one or loving one. And so it's kind of like that. Like, you got to get in there. And it's a death. Like, all of this and that's the thing that I've had to like just come to terms with. Like, it's not going to feel good. Like, healing, there will be so many blissed out moments, but to
Mm-hmm.
get to the blissed out moments, you need the other side of the coin. You need to get into the shadow, which feels like a death, which feels is excruciating, which is not sexy and is not sparkles and unicorns and
Not
is not,
Instagrammable.
it's not, well, it should be and it can be
Mm-hmm.
because that's the realness. And so as a like society, we don't know how to sit with the darkness. We don't know how to sit with the discomfort. We don't know how to sit with the pain. It hits us and it's like, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, which something is dying. You're not going to completely die, but something within you
Things have to die. It's the life, death,
is
life, life.
dying and cleansing out. And so what I've found in this intersection is people being like, well, just raise your vibration, just use your affirmations, just like think happy thoughts, just like change your mindset. And it's like, no, die, bitch. Like let it
Mm-hmm.
die. Like
Yeah.
cleanse it out. Like, you know, like cleanse out the wound so that then all of the other stuff does work. It is accessible to you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
go through the very painful, exhausting, trying, like trauma work, shadow work, so that then you can get to the parts where it's like you're very clear and there aren't blockages and you can manifest the shit out of something and it'll attract and come to you.
Yeah. And I also feel like there's an element of like, you have to sit with it, whatever
Yeah.
it is. And I think there's this,
Yeah.
like when we talk about, you know, weaponizing spiritualism, it's like this, well, just meditate and go through it. Like, just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
change your depression. I think one of the best things a friend said to me once when I was being that bitch, right? I was being that idiot that's like, well, are you meditating? Like, you're not feeling well? Like, do you have Post-it notes with positive things on your bathroom mirror? Like, just saying
Yeah.
stupid shit. And she was like, look, I just need to be sad right now, okay? I need to be
Yeah.
upset. Like, I need to be going through this. And it was like, you're right. Thank you. Thank you for like,
Yeah.
reminding me of that, because that's part of spirituality as well. Like,
Yeah. It is. And
emptiness.
it is. And it's, I can get it from like a practitioner, like teacher standpoint. It's hard because you want to bring in students. Instagram is your platform. Like, Western wellness is the way to do it. And I think few people are like, yeah, I want to come and sit in your circle and just like cry my eyes out and like feel my pain around a bunch of other people and make myself vulnerable. And I'm not saying that that's what you have to do, but I get why we're where we're at right now.
As
But there
a
needs,
culture, as a society, when you say where we're at,
yeah,
what do you?
where we're at right now in terms of spiritualism in the Western world. Did it bug out?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're at right
You're
now
back.
in terms
Yeah.
of wellness
Okay.
and spiritualism in the Western world. And so um, I think a big part of it is to not bypass, to not say, um, you know, like love and light, and to say, here, let me show you how to like turn the light inward so you can see your shadow and you
Mm.
can work through that shadow. And so oftentimes when I talk about like the weaponizing, it's these taglines like, and the one that I hate the most is suffering is a choice or suffering is an option. And it's like, it's not. Suffering is necessary. And I want to be careful because I know that there are a lot of people, myself included, who have had the programming where it's like life has to be hard and you have to hustle and you have to suffer. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I mean like there will be pain in the process. Like, there will be beauty in the breakdown, there will be pain in the process. And like, suffering
Mm.
isn't an option.
I love that.
It's
There will be.
something you have to
Say
go
that
through.
again.
I said there will be pain in the process and beauty in the breakdown. Like, there will be both. Like, there will be suffering. And like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not an option. It's kind of just part of what healing looks like. And if we're only trying to get to the pretty stuff, and if we're only telling people, don't be a victim, and love and light, and suffering is an option, then whoop, then
We're back.
then we're denying people the space and the opportunity to come with their realness and have it seen and heard and held so that they can move through it and then access all of the other like light, positive, you know, peace and light, all of that. you have to have both. You have to have both. And
This is
what
something
I
I struggle
see,
with. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
This is something I struggle with because, like Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, these like really big names in the wellness, new age spirituality, and like personal growth and development spheres. They always
Yeah.
use the sexual assault example of like the victim, right? Like victim mentality. And then it's like they're really trying to show like women, like you don't have to be a victim, and like subconsciously you manifested this because of your vibration, and then you can change your vibration and no one will ever sexually assault you again. And like they, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? And so there's bits of it that I'm like, okay, like yes, we create our own reality, and yes, our energy attracts like energy. But then like as someone that's experienced sexual assault, I'm like, no, I didn't like, no part
Mm,
of my body wanted that. Like my
mm,
soul's journey wasn't like, yeah, I want that to happen to
mm.
me. And so I'm just
Yeah.
curious of what your take is on these thought leaders and the perspective, especially specific to the example of like sexual assault in women and victims.
Yeah. I think men should never talk about sexual assault of women as an example for monetary gain or to, and that's the thing. This is another thing that is very damaging and is weaponizing of wellness and spiritualism is do not drop enlightenment and truth bombs on people. Do not. Like, we do not need to be like mind blown, like intentionally mind blown to get a point or to grow anymore. It's damaging. It's re-traumatizing to be like, boom, and this is what it is, and boom, I'm gonna throw your stuff in your face so that like you can shift. I think that like we need to move away from that. That's like a pillar of bootstrap culture. We don't need that anymore. Like, we need compassion and we need constructiveness and we need to be held. So like, no more men using sexual assault of women examples. A. B. What is your vibration? Like, what is that made of? What is that like, what is that created from? And it's created from your life experiences. It's created from what's going on outside of you, your home, your job, your friends, your environment. It's going on, it's what's your programming internally. It's all your subconscious. Venture to say that we all have trauma because it's on a spectrum. So whether you have trauma that's debilitating or whether it's something that's just kind of gnawing away and you don't realize that it's the lens you see the world through, we all have it. And so your vibration is rooted in that. And the way trauma works is it's going to recreate, it's going to push you into the environments in dynamics for you to have a healing experience. And it really doesn't make a lot of sense. So what they're getting at is that subconsciously, unconsciously, you're opening yourself up to dynamics and situations in which you can choose differently. You can operate differently, somebody else can respond differently, and that's why you'll see women often, and men as well, get in these like abusive relationships again and again and again, and then when you start to deconstruct it, it's like, oh my god, this is rooted in like a relationship that I had with my mother or my father where like I'm trying to heal that. And so
And
I
here it
would
is
say that,
again and again and again with a
and
different
again,
face and a different circumstance and a different, it was
yeah,
a man, now it's a woman, now it's my boss, then it was my
yeah.
sister.
Exactly, it's not just romantic. Like, I've had it where I'm like, wow, my boss has so many characters. Like, yep, nope, gotta leave this job. This is not
Yep.
like, this is not going to serve me any. But so again, like, it's not just a matter of raising your vibration because you still have the programming and the trauma that's saying operate in the world this way, see the world this way, create this dynamic so I can heal this. So until you get into that root, into whatever that core wounding is or series of woundings and start to heal it and integrate the parts of yourself. And in trauma theory, there's this concept of like you fragment. So you fragment, and your fragmentations are coping mechanisms. So you might have a protector part, and that protector, and you might have many protector parts, and this one protector part might continuously put you in situations to protect you from something, or not put you, but push you. And so you're taking on that part and you're seeing the world through that lens. It's like a different set of glasses. And so until that part gets what it needs and is integrated back into your whole, and you feel, and this is over time, this isn't like one session, then you're going to keep operating from different parts. Your frequency, your vibration is going to be pulled. Your manifesting could be in conflict to your parts. And so, cool, I can't raise my vibration until I get deep into like what is pulling it down and what are the things that I'm not even seeing, and I don't even know that I'm operating in this way that is causing me to drop my vibration in certain situations, because you're dropping your vibration because your nervous system is not in regulation and you're anxious. Again, that's trauma. Like, that's trauma theory. That's
I
like
was
what's
just going to
going
say
on.
that there's literally like a brain, like part of your brain turns off. You know, you go, when you're in fight or flight, certain parts of your brain turn off because you're pumping more blood to different areas of your body. And that's what it is when we're in trauma, you know, and like when we're in that trigger state, we can't think consciously. We may not be able to make the decisions that we want to be making because it's just survival mode, the programming. And so I think it's really important to learn how to be with that. And another thing I love that you're talking about in terms of trauma is that, you know, trauma is not a linear path, like in terms of healing from trauma, right? It's a constant process. And that's why the whole like, oh, just raise your vibration. Like, are you meditating? Like, that should solve it. Like, no, because I can be healed from my trauma, triggered back in my trauma state. And it's not going to like totally derail the growth or work that I've done, but it is a constant, for lack of a better word, I guess, management or navigation of something. And so it's not just a matter of like, oh, you can just leave it and be done with it. Like, that's the past is the past, and like change your vibe and then that will never happen again. That can happen, but I don't think it's like what I see often in personal growth and development is this kind of one type fits all. This is how it should be. Grow yourself to this vibration, and then you'll never be brought back down to this vibration. If you do, you're wrong or bad.
And I had a thought. And I lost it. Oh, so I would say that when we talk about meditation and we talk about yoga and we talk about those types of practices that teach you to go inward, that teach you how to like notice and witness your thoughts and what's going on, that's your entry point. That's like your entry point to learn how to be with yourself, how to see your stuff coming up. That's like your entry point to sit and be like, I'm uncomfortable and I don't know why. Let me sit with myself and use this practice to do so. And that's like where you start to learn what it is that's kind of like pulling you down or ailing you or needs attention. Like, that's your entry point to show you what needs attention. And then you need the next modality that is going to deconstruct that is going to give that space, that is going to heal that, integrate that, like unearth it, whatever it is. Like, this needs to be a multifaceted approach. And that's what when you get bypassed, you're not given the opportunity to have this multifaceted approach. Like, raising your vibration, yes, great, I do that. Like, in the depths of, I still did ritual and activity that I felt were going to raise my vibration. And I also did really intense trauma therapy. And I also was doing yoga and journaling. Like, there were so many things that I was doing because it all needed to be supported. It's like having a cancer patient who's getting chemo. And then it's like, yeah, but you can still eat McDonald's and you can still smoke cigarettes and you can still live next door to that factory. Don't sleep, watch TV all day, you know, like, it's like, no, in order for that treatment to be effective, we need to like also work on all these other elements that could be pulling you out of balance, because your body is always trying to find balance. Always. That's what it's designed to find, homeostasis.
Yes.
And so that's part of like the anxiety that you feel is your body's like, we got to get back there. We got to get back there. Like, how do we find it?
And even if back there is uncomfortable, or even if back there is like in that trauma state that's not effective, even if back there is a state of depression and anxiety, like, it's like, what am I used to? Well, then I'm going to do that because it's comfortable, because I know it, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yes. And I've had so many people say to me, like, but you self-sabotage. And like, why don't you just settle down? Because I had such a chaotic life. I did for so long. And they were like, why don't you just settle down? And I'm like, I don't know what safety feels like. And I used to hate those meditations where they're like, go to a safe, calm place. And it's like, I can't like, resource that.
Yeah, you're like,
I don't have, because then the minute I get into it, all of a sudden, you know, bombs start going off and there's madness. And it's like, I don't know what safety feels like. And I've spent the last almost year trying to calm the nervous system and create stability to find that. And for somebody who has had chaos their entire life, safety feels really unsafe. Stability feels really unsafe. And it's been a practice of learning how to be somewhere safe. And so going into yoga classes and hearing someone say, like, you know, find your safe space, or don't, or just shout, again, destination culture, like shouting out, like, don't self-sabotage, don't be self-loathing, blah, 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 all these things. Like, you can't be, don't be against yourself. And it's like, that's not helpful. Like, I need something more constructive than that, because I need to know how to get there. And when trying to sit
like
in
sounds
safety,
good.
yeah, and that's what we need. We don't need any more like flashy wellness. Like, I feel like a lot of the Western wellness is just like marketing of like, let me market you a lifestyle and let me shame you into raising, like, let me shame you into raising your vibration. That's not how it works, like, at all. Let me continue to suppress what's really going on so everything looks pretty on the outside. And it's like, it's going to just pop up somewhere else. And so it's really like understanding that safety is not accessible to everybody. And what feels safe to someone might not serve them. What used to feel safe to me was not serving me. It was destroying my life. But like, that was what was familiar and comfortable because I had gotten so used to it. And so I think I'm going on a tangent, but just recognizing that safety is not the same for everybody, and really wanting to focus on, like, is this accessible? Is the tagline, is the affirmation, is your approach accessible to everyone, given that everyone is on a trauma spectrum? Like, can everyone access the concept of safety? Mm-hmm. Can everybody actually manifest? Or are there things deeper that need to be addressed first? Like,
and it always comes back to the self.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I could literally talk for hours, because we usually do. But I recognize that we're coming to the end of our time here. So I would love to, I know time flies when I'm talking to you. I'm like, what? It felt like 5 minutes. I would love to end with, you know, if you could make a magic potion that somehow transforms every, like make a magic potion that everyone on the planet could drink, and it transforms something about them, what would it be? What would this potion do?
I have so many options. I think the potion would give you the deep knowing that it's safe to go in and do the work. Even if it doesn't feel safe externally all the time, it's like that deep intuition knowing that the minute you want to even bypass yourself, you're like, no, but it's safe to go in. It's like safe to go in. It's safe to go in. It's safe to do the deeper work. And there's like a space for me to do that. Because it's not like make everybody feel safe, because part of not feeling safe is the work. But like that deep knowing that, like, it's okay to go here. It's okay to sit with this. And it's okay to sit with other people's, you know, blocks and darkness and shadows as well. Like that deep knowing that it's safe to like hold space for this.
I love that. Well, it is safe, and I'm so grateful for you and your time and your wisdom and your expertise. Thank you so much for being here on the Conscious Hotline. And I'm sure we'll be having you on another time. So I love you. Yeah. I'm grateful for you.
Amazing.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Love you tons.
Love you. Ciao.
Bye.